arts sector, theatres, live music events and the like, which have suffered so badly during coronavirus. One MSP in the south of Scotland says there's likely to be a jobs crisis because of all this. I know you've given a lot of support already, but is there an argument for giving more support to this sector as it struggles to get back to normality? And also, is there a case for looking again at the 2-metre rule inside small theatres, for example, to make them viable, as you have done in restaurants and pubs and the like?
We will always look at the practical arrangements to try to make businesses as viable as possible. But this is always a balancing act. You know, if we go too far and the virus starts to transmit again, then the danger is we end up with these different settings closed down again, not operating with a 2-metre rule. So this, I'm afraid, is just a difficult juggling act as we go through this. And we will listen to arguments and cases that are made by different sectors. But we know that in the hospitality sector, we're having to have other mitigations in place if there is an exemption to 2 metres. So often this is, what you gain in one way, you perhaps, find it more difficult in other ways. So there's very difficult conversations and judgments to be made around all of this. So I don't rule anything out, but equally I can't always rule these things in without some careful consideration. On the financial question, we will always look at what more we can do. We're looking, around culture generally just now. There's, case, I think a case being made, for example, for comedy within culture, although comedy is not excluded from the other support streams that are there. So we will always look at what more we can do. I don't mean this to sound as an excuse or a political point in any way. It's just a statement of fact that the Scottish Government's resources are finite because we don't have access to unlimited borrowing powers the way the UK Government does. So we come to a point where we just can't do any more because we have no more financial flexibility to do it. So that's why inevitably in these discussions we do also have to look to the UK Government, which holds the borrowing powers, and I would continue to make the case to them to not end the furlough scheme in October. Countries elsewhere are extending their job retention schemes for a much longer period, and I think the biggest looming threat of a wave of redundancies is the premature ending of the furlough scheme. So I would encourage them to think again about that, and also encourage them to look at how we can have greater flexibility to help different sectors over and above that. Now, that could either be spending decisions on the part of the UK Government that feeds into additional resources for the Scottish Government, or giving the Scottish Government greater fiscal flexibility to allow us to make those decisions ourselves. So these conversations are not easy, but they will continue because there are going to be many businesses that will require ongoing support while we continue to try to get through the implications that COVID presents for us.